you guys have done an awesome job at pivoting from being mostly a new car focus here at the Jaguar Land Rover South Shore store to integrating a lot more of the used side of it. And that's required a lot of creativity on a lot of fronts. So we've got Jack here, we've got Jim, and you guys have really led that strategy, not only for like getting better trades, but also sourcing those used cars. So Jim, let's say 4.5 years ago, before you guys joined the team, how many were you guys selling a month used?
Out here, I think they were doing, before me and Jack joined the team, I'd say 35-ish on average.
Yeah, and now you're doing easy double that.
Easy.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So what would you attribute a lot of that success to? Like if there were like 2 or 3 things that you guys did, Jim, what would you say that you guys intentionally changed?
Well, I think it started with people bringing me and Jack on,
Yeah.
And us being on the same page. We had no option but other than becoming a used car store because we had no new cars. So we came in, looked at the inventory we had, cleaned house, and just put our foot on the gas and worked endlessly buying cars.
Yeah. And Jack, what did the inciting like event, what did that look like? Why did you guys intentionally have to decide to change?
We just stopped getting new cars. I mean, it was literally that. I mean, we'd forecast 90 days out, and all of a sudden, you know, Jim running a used car department would have to rely on trades for our inventory level. We didn't have anything, so we had to just think outside the box, and we got really creative. And I'm typically new car Pearson here, and he's pre-owned Jim, and I had to flip-flop, and I got yelled at a lot for some of the cars that I bought, and you know, Jim would yell at me. I didn't get many high fives, even if we sold them pretty quick. But we just had to think really creatively, and we just took risk after risk after risk. And we did not always get it right, but we got it right, 90% of the time?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge strategy behind that, and there's the huge desire too, because just like we were talking about in the previous episode, is when you sell a new car, there's a very good chance you'll get a trade.
Sure.
You can choose to keep that trade. You can choose to wholesale it. For you guys, you chose to keep it. Then that can get another trade. That can get another trade. 3 or 4 or 5 cars down the road, now all of a sudden you're going from a $150,000 car to a $10,000 car, a $20,000 car. Jim, what does that strategy look like pricing wise? Have you guys just intentionally decided to keep everything?
No, we actually didn't. So we like I said, had our foot on the gas. When I was at the auctions, I almost did a consignment plan.
Wow.
So with Manheim, I'm not a big fan of Deal Shield, but I Deal Shield everything. We had it out here, and in 21 days, we would just ship it back. So we would maybe look at doing the full inspection after we knew that we sold the car. So we constantly, I was doing probably 40 wholesale transactions a month during all that.
Wow.
If we made a bad buy, we just cut ties, didn't talk about it again, and moved on. But the big thing was just sell what stock what you sell. And we're a Land Rover dealership. Our competitive advantage is certified pre-owned. So we just went all in on that, where no one else around us even tries to sell used cars.
Yeah, so certified pre-owned. I think, Jack, you mentioned that you guys were one of the top CPO Land Rover dealers here in this area. So talk about that for a second.
Yeah, we have a scorecard that comes out every month, and we want to be number 1, number 2, number 3 in the Chicagoland market for CPO sales. We actually just celebrated a breakfast on Saturday because we beat our nearest competitor, new car sales for Jack and Land Rover, and then CPO sales as well. We're pretty competitive, so we do little things like that for the team. And but we probably have the best selection here for JLR CPO cars. I mean, I think we have 40 to 50 in stock at any point.
Yeah. So let's talk about your market for a second. The demographic here is interesting because we got Crown Point, which is a little bit higher income. We've got Maryville, Cherville, then even more east towards the South Bend area. I mean, you guys do a lot, I would imagine, that gets pulled from the South Bend market because there's not like a Jaguar Land Rover store east for a while. I mean, west we can find some more towards the Chicago area, but I can imagine you pull a lot of customers from the east side of it. Do you see a lot of people coming here for the used side, Jim? Do you see a lot of, is it new, is it used? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I'd say probably 10 to 15% of our Land Rovers and Jags we actually are shipping all over the country to out-of-state customers. And the reason I think is because our brand, it's how someone built them. Jack's a genius on how he builds new cars, and that's why a lot of people come into us is because of a specific build. And used cars the same way. You know, you have a specific exterior, specific interior with a specific wheel, and you know you're not going to find that at the dealer next street or even another CPO dealer. So what, you know, I'd say back in 21, equipment was the biggest strategy of purchasing. Like, you know, we went all in on anything loaded. We didn't care about base. So
yeah, but maybe that's the trick, right? For the high-end luxury side of it is it's got to be loaded. It's got to be the right options. It's got to be the right stuff, especially when you're building new. Is that right?
Yeah, and then just to touch base on the pre. I mean, Jim knows how to merchandise a car very well. He's Mr. V Auto Guru. We have all of our pre-owned inventories on YouTube, on our YouTube website as well. So we do a lot of our off-site deliveries. We get a lot of out-of-state customers. We're invested in Car Gurus, Auto Trader, cars.com. And, you know, if customer calls in, they're from California and they're looking at a pre-owned Range Rover Sport, me or Jim or Chris, one of our other sales managers, we can get on the phone. We can sell that car within 10 minutes, you know, just by knocking out trade value, estimated payments, shipping to your doorstep, etc. I mean, we try and make it super easy. If you make it hard for an out-of-state customer, they're not going to come and buy a car. And the way we price things as well, we want to find a new home. We're not a museum. If it's in our inventory,
that's right.
Let's get it sold. Let's price it well off the get-go and see what comes up about it.
Yeah, you're not here to show cars. You're here to sell them. That's
exactly.
interesting. So one of the things I noticed earlier today, I know you didn't really share details like customer-wise, but it sounded like you were talking with an out-of-state customer that you were probably shipping a car to. So it sounds like that's pretty common, where an out-of-state customer calls, whether it's new or used. How do you make it easy for them? I know you just said you can do it in like 10 minutes or less. How do you make it so clear that you want to do business with them, that it's so easy?
The first thing you do is you got to sound like you want to help them on the phone. So this out of state was a Defender customer. It was a referral from a referral, and they called me and said, "Hey Jack, my customer lives in, or my referral lives in Virginia. Can you help them?" Yep, put me in touch. So they call me, "Hey, I'm interested in this. We go over price range, equipment. Myself and one of my sales executives, we go outside. We do a walk around video. Not too long. It's not a 15-minute video. It's a 90-second video, which seems to be the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Send them the YouTube link listed to our Jag Land Rover YouTube page, so they know what the exterior looks like, what the interior. Go over things like even how many miles are on the car, and then ask them if they like it. They want to go over to pricing information. Get on the phone with them, figure out trade value, and do that on the spot as well. You know, if they're in Virginia, they're not going to be able to bring it in for a trade value. Give them the estimated number, figure out the details, and then we work with a third-party titling company to get the estimated tax and fees. You know, Jim's good buddy with our transport broker. You text him, he texts you back in 5 minutes.
Wow.
And, you know, $650 to ship to Virginia. You have an itemized quote. That way you've got the right car. They know what it looks like. They know it's there today. They know it's real. They know who you are. They sense your energy that you want to help them. And you have a nice paperwork. Once you get that back, ship the car to your step and keep in touch.
Yeah. So if you look at like the new versus used breakdown for sending the majority of the stuff out of state, for every single out of state deal, what percentage of it's new? What percentage of it is used?
Well, most of our new car customers will physically come here,
okay.
And that's due to part of sometimes franchise requirements. So we always invite them here, and we've got a beautiful store, and we want to give them a South Shore experience. If they're in California and we've got a 2017 Range Rover Sport with the right miles, the right price, they're probably not coming here. But you know, the cool thing is about this area is we're only an hour away from Chicago O'Hare or Chicago Midway Airport, and we'll go pick them up as well. But we ship a ton of cars all across the country, and we kind of offer that doorstep delivery off the get-go.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your used car strategy again for a second. So, Jim, how important is it for you and Jack to work so closely together and have the same strategy go in the same direction?
It's super important. We've when me and Jack came out here, we both came from Iowa. We didn't know each other, and we were 6 blocks down the street from each other. It's really ironic, and that could have been a nightmare, but I think we knew pretty quick that we had trust in each other, and we clicked, and we both just want to win. We're competitive, so we just go for it. A little phrase I always steal for Jack is just find a reason to say yes.
Yeah.
You know, so if there's any kind of merit behind a deal to say yes to, just take it, don't think twice, and move on.
Yeah. What would you say is one of the most important things when it comes to like discipline for your used car strategy? I know Deal Shield was a very good strategy that you brought up, but like when it comes to discipline, do you have a hard turn? What does it look like for trade-ins? Do you have like floor plan limitations?
Yeah, we do have a hard turn, and we do a write-down every single month. Luckily, we don't run into those very often. But I'd say the biggest thing is having a personal relationship with every vehicle on the lot.
Sure.
You know, I can tell if someone's going to show a car, I'll tell them what the tread depths are of the tires, you know, and just know those things are things that might come up to be able to address off the get-go.
Yeah. Well, that's a good strategy, is like, you know, the cars intimately, because for you guys, let's say it is a 1 or 2 year new vehicle trade-in. We're not talking about like a CDJR $30,000 car. I mean, it could be $130,000, it could be $150,000 in one unit. So I can imagine knowing each of those units intimately and having a relationship with that is so important. Man,
it's important, and it helps the sales consultants as well. I mean, 5 minutes ago, we've got an appointment on a 2021 Range Rover Sport, and how we got that great Jaguar Land Rover family. They've got an F-Type from us. They had a Range Rover Sport. They bought a brand new Range Rover Sport off the showroom floor. The next owner of their trade-in, they want to know that previous owner got another Range Rover. They want to know it was serviced there. They want to know who the guy was. They want to know a successful business owner. It helps our sales consultant build the value, hold more gross, discount less, but sex up the car a little bit. There's no shame in that.
Yeah, it really tells the story too. I mean, a lot of times, I just think back to when I was selling. So I sold for about 7 years before I did marketing for 4, and they always wanted to know a story around like the vehicle and the trade-in. So of course, anytime you have that story, it's so much easier to sell it. And I can only imagine that if you are selling that vehicle out of state, man, it only makes it that much easier when you're creating a video for that next customer. It's got to be so easy.
Video is really important. At some point, we've had every sales consultant, when they take in a trade, they have to do a video on the car, and it gets uploaded to YouTube.
That's cool.
So it's not a video for the sake of it. It goes to our YouTube page.
Yeah. So talk about that for a second. So you have the salesperson that takes the trade-in do the video?
So they go stock the car in. They put the stickers in the windows, get the miles, get the deal jacket to Jim. But before they give the keys, they will do they'll do a selfie video with the car, 30 seconds, then we upload it to YouTube Shorts.
Wow. So when did you start requiring that?
About a year or so ago.
Okay. And it's obviously had success.
It helps. Some people never watch the videos, and that's fine. It's more to get that salesperson to know that car in a little bit more detail, and actually have to think on the spot and sex up the car and go, okay, right, if someone's going to be watching this video, what are 2 or 3 top things that they need to know about that? So again, it's like Jim says, creating that relationship with that car a little bit for either them to sell it or another one of our store members.
Yeah. So let's get back to strategy real quick. So we're going to have you guys each rate a deal that the other person did last month that they shouldn't have done. This will be really easy, I think. Guess we'll find out. So let's see. Jim, we'll start with you. Last month, is there a used vehicle that Jack made a mistake on?
Purchasing or selling?
Both. Or either.
I don't think he bought too many cars last month. There's probably a couple lease turn-ins that he purchased that I questioned.
Is that why you changed my password?
There was, yeah. So I wouldn't say that. There was a deal that he took that I still don't know why he did it. But we moved a car and we got a good trade in, and then of course we ended up making like $3,000, $4,000 on the trade like in a week. So
it worked out, is what you're saying.
It worked out. I just like getting mad at him, I think.
So you question it, then it works out. So Jack, now it's your turn. If you look at some deals that like Jim did last month, what were some that were questionable, whether they were good or bad?
Well, let me throw in the one thing about Jim. Yeah. He will not let me appraise American cars. So
really?
If it's a Silverado, Ford, or whatever, he goes, you don't know. You don't know what you're talking about.
Interesting.
Trucks, I've got no idea. I still don't know the difference between a short bed, long bed.
Oh, no.
I don't know any of that stuff. And so I have to get Jim or Chris, our American sales managers, to appraise. And I let customers know, I was like, you don't want a Brit appraising that truck. So that's too American for me. So I'm not allowed to do that. No, we get on pretty. I can't think of a deal. No, I'll have to be nice to Jim. He does a pretty good job. He puts the right money in the car, the get-go. Now, he'll tell me the opposite, of course. If so, you give that customer too much, or you put too much in that car.
Yeah.
And then we'll sell it after a week, and I'll walk in all happy, and he won't give me high fives. But that's all right.
What I always loved about how competitive it was, if someone was doing the same sort of thing, like buying-wise for a store, it's always this really funny relationship, because you watch what the other person buys, and then you say what you question, and they're like, oh, really? They do the same thing to you, but then they end up making right decisions a lot of the time. And I hope the same for you guys. Obviously, it's worked out so well.
Yeah, no, he razzed me a couple of months ago. I bought a Range Rover Sport off lease. I think it was in Pennsylvania, and I did not look through all the pictures. I did not read the equipment, and it was a good-looking black Range Rover Sport, but it was at a time where there wasn't a lot of options standard. It had no heated steering wheel, no sunroof, no heated seats, and it was an old age car.
Did have 22-inch wheels, though.
Had 22-inch wheels, and we put it on the showroom right here, and we struggled to sell that for a long time.
We ended up shipping it across the country.
Yep.
Really?
And I heard about it all the time.
What was the age on the unit once it sold?
That's probably about 100 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, but still, like, it was a 100-day unit.
Yeah. Typically on sometimes what we'll do, instead of hiding and just dropping price completely, everyone likes driving a car off the showroom floor. So we will get it re-cleaned up, re-detailed. We'll ceramic coat it and put it in the showroom, maybe with a special sign on it. So the best time to sell a car is right after you sell one. So we end up selling it to a guy down in South Carolina. And then an hour later, and keep in mind, 100 days old, an hour later, someone came in to buy it. So two people in the same day after 100 days.
That's always how it goes. It seemed like if you had a really old unit you were trying to move, the second you sell it, the second it's gone, someone walks in looking for that unit.
If you ever want to sell a car, just sell it first, then someone else will be in after.
Yeah, that's
all happens all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Or raise the price.
Yep.
Or raise the price, yeah. That's funny. Yeah, the people on Auto Trader will be able to see that if they save that unit. They'll call, hey, why'd you raise that price?
Yep.
Yeah, so Jack, Jim, thanks for joining me today, talking some strategy and really finding out what makes you guys successful. I appreciate you guys.
Awesome, thank you.